Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all, it's been forever since I've done a full sit down video. I'm so happy to be sitting here with you all today. We are doing things right this time around over here on our channel. And so make sure that you are subscribed because you truly don't want to miss what's coming in these next few weeks, months, years, days, all of it. Okay. Okay. As you can tell by the title, we're getting into all the juicy details on how I basically gave up on God, circled back, and became fully surrendered, and now I'm living in answered prayers. Literally, I hope that you learned something. I hope that you take something away from this. If you are unfamiliar and don't have a relationship with God, I hope that after you have watched this video, you begin to have a relationship with God. I know on this channel before, I've talked a lot about having a relationship with yourself, and that, of course, is always and still will be important, but it is also really important to have a relationship with God. And that's what we're about to get into in this video. And my testimony and my story and my journey of faith has been very interesting. If you are not already subscribed, you will want to be after this episode. So you might want to stick around just so you can get to the end, girl, okay? Take a breath. Take a seat. This is your space for grace, growth, and real life conversation. So let's get into it. All right, so I've basically been Christian all my life. Grew up going to church like all the time. And so God and the idea of God, the construct of God and religion, like it is nothing new to me. It wasn't something that I like stumbled into when I was an adult or, an older teenager or anything like that. This is something that was really familiar to me. And if you grew up Christian, you're very familiar with the idea of like getting saved and giving your life to Christ. And so this was something that I was really familiar with. That whole concept of like giving your life to Christ, giving your life to Jesus was something I was familiar with my entire life. Did I ever really do it? No, I had no interest in it. To be honest, I had no interest in it. And also, the reason I had no interest was because I truly didn't understand. Like people would say these things, and this is a reason as to why now I would never correlate myself with Christianity, but even before I had a lot of issues with Christianity because like people say things, but they don't know what they're talking about. Now I don't know what you're talking about. Now I'm looking at you and you looking at me and I'm like, baby, we both got questions. I'm just the only one willing to ask them. But anyways, so yeah, I, spent my life believing in God, but not like feeling like I needed to really give my life to Christ because, like, what did that mean, anyways? Who cared? Back in 2023, I started going to this church and I was just in a very interesting phase of my life back in 2023. And I was really wanting to move forward in my life, and I felt like I was starting to gain momentum of moving forward. I was in an okay job at the time. I was feeling like I had finally gotten out of a phase of my life where I was in so many struggles and I was constantly struggling and I was constantly hurting and I was constantly just going through like trial after trial after trial. And so I had a friend who told me about this church, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what it was. I was just like, I want to go. Like, I think it was just the name of the church that really made me want to go. And y'all, I hadn't been to church in years. Like, literally, I had not been to church in multiple years, many, many years. Like, it was really, when I look back, I'm like, it was really just, it had to be God because nothing in me was like, oh, I've been wanting to go to church. Anyways, I decide to like start going to this church. The first day, the first time I go to this church and attend this church service, if you've ever been to a church service, you know that at the end of every service, they, ask people like if you have a relationship with Jesus, or like if you, and some churches ask if you have a relationship with Jesus, if you know Jesus, if you've, asked Jesus to come into your life, yada yada. It's a variage. It's a variage. Anyways, really irrelevant. But they did that, of course, at the end of this service, and I was like, yeah, this is, yeah, I'm about to do this. And like I said, I was in a point of my life where like things were kind of on the up and up. And I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty good in myself and good as just like, I guess like I was kind of finally in a point where I was feeling secure. You know, prior to 2023, I spent 2020, 2021, 2022 just like truly going through it, bro. Going through it. We can get into those details a later day if y'all want to know like the grit that I was in, baby. I'm sure you will learn as you continue to watch my channel. So make sure you're subscribed. At the time as well, I was also just wanting more security. Like I was feeling secure kind of in myself, but I was definitely wanting more. There was something more that I was wanting. And at the time, for whatever reason, I knew like I kind of couldn't do that myself. I think subconsciously I knew that I couldn't get that on my own. I couldn't get this depth of like security and comfort that I was really seeking for, you know, overall in life on my own. Anywho, and so I give my life to Christ and I'm like, great, I'm gonna start feeling good. I start reading my Bible more. I start believing in Jesus. I start learning who Jesus is. So I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm kind of grasping the allure. Also at the same time, my life starts to like kind of start going downhill. Mind you, life was already downhill for several years. For like two and a half years, my life was downhill. I'm finally thinking my life's about to be on the up and up. My life is on the up and up. Matter of fact, I'm feeling good. Life is looking good. So cool. At this point in time, um, basically, I'm pretty invested, and I'm like, you know what? I give my life to Christ, but I kind of don't feel anything. So literally, like every church service I would go to at this point, I had nothing else to do in my life. I'll say that. That was the reason I was going to church. I really had nothing else to do. I was kind of in a point of my life where I was definitely feeling very alone, but I would not admit that I was lonely. But I was like severely lonely. That's why I was like going to church, and maybe that was why I went in the first place. But either way, let's stay on track here. At every service, I was like, you know, I'm not really feeling nothing. Like I've heard of this giving your life to Christ my entire life. This is not a new concept to me, baby. We know something. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, so isn't something supposed to happen? Okay, so like what we supposed to be feeling like? So what's gonna happen next? Like I've done this thing and I'm not feeling any different. And I'm not the type of person to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna give my life to Christ. I'm gonna start believing in God and like miracles are gonna start falling from the sky. No, I'm not ignorant. However, also I was ignorant because I hadn't been taught anything when it really came to it, and I knew nothing. So me and my anxious attachment style, of course, since I felt like I wasn't getting anything after I had done this thing, after I had received Jesus in my life, I was believing in Jesus. I already believed in God, now I'm believing in Jesus. And I'm like, yo, nothing's happening. So at every service, I'm like, yo, I'm giving my life again. I'm giving my life again. And again, like eventually, when I think about this, like I just think about how silly I kind of was, but also not because I don't know, maybe there's other people out here doing this. If you are either like new to going to church or you've gone to church or you feel like you gave your life to Jesus, like do you sign up for it again every time? Honestly, sometimes I still do this. Not because I don't feel like something isn't happening, but it's just a refreshing feeling like, you know what? Let me renew that contract. Matter of fact, I'm gonna renew that today. At this point in time, that was not what was going on. I was certainly trying to like earn something. I was like, okay, I've given my life to Christ. Why is nothing happening? Why do I still feel lonely? Why do I still feel so broken? Why do I still feel so like this, just this emptiness? And at the time, like I definitely didn't have that verbiage of emptiness because I had an okay job. I had hobbies. I had friends. Like I had things. I had things. But at the same time, like I had nothing. Okay, so cool, nothing happened. I'm honestly getting more upset because also at the same time, like I said, I'm thinking my life is about to get better. My life was already kind of on the up and up. No, pause. Life started getting worse. Um, so for on a word from God, I quit my job. I hated the job, so that was fine, honestly. I quit my job and went into pursuit of entrepreneurship. That was not a new venture for me. I had pursued entrepreneurship before, and this time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna. I'm trusting because I didn't fully want to quit my job, but I'm like, okay, like God has called me to do this thing. I'm gonna do it again. Several attachment issues. So as soon as I quit my job, I'm like, baby, where the money? Where's the money? Where's the clients? Where is the support, honey? Anyways, quickly after, I was like, actually, you know what, God, you don't know what you're doing. Actually, we've got to rely on ourselves. And so of course I'm broke. I rely on myself. I get even more broke. And yeah, so that started the cycle of then me just going down. And I won't even say this is a cycle, but really God just taking things away from me. Mind you, at the time, when I look back now, I had nothing anyways. But God starts to take things away from me. God starts to take friendships away from me. I literally was pursuing this business and I was very much putting myself out there. And I'm talking about it was crickets. It was crickets. And of course now I'm leaning on myself. I'm like, well, we gotta do something. We gotta do this. We gotta do something else. We gotta work some side gigs. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. And this is the thing I think people do not talk about with God, with Jesus. Like, it's okay to be fed up with God. It's okay to be fed up with Jesus. It's okay to be fed up. It's okay to be vulnerable with God. It's okay to be vulnerable with Jesus. And like, um, I didn't know this then, but I know this now because when I say I was fed up, I was like, actually, you've done nothing for me. I've been doing the things that I was told to do, that I knew to do, go to church, read my Bible, believe, be in community, like the religious things basically, and nothing is happening. Matter of fact, my life has gotten worse. Matter of fact. So yeah, we were like actually done with that. Enough of that. We've got to, get our life together because things are going south. Literally. So cool. Things are going south. Things are being taken away from me. I don't have barely any friends basically. Actually, I basically didn't have any friends. I had like acquaintances at this point in time because I lost my friendships. But um my home gets taken away from me. God strips me of literally everything. I'm clinging on by a thread to my car that's trying to break down on me like every second. And finally in the spring of 2024, I was just like, you know what? Okay, cool. Like, clearly you're trying to do something, God. I'm upset, but you know what? Just do what you need to do. If this is how you want me to move, like, I guess I have to be okay with it. I got to be okay with it because, baby, there was really nothing I could do. There was really nothing I could do. Like, what was I going to do? Literally. So in the spring of 2023, I ended up, like I said, I'm gaslighting myself that everything is fine. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go on like and be a nomad and have this little travel journey because I've always wanted to live nomadically and just travel. And I'm gonna get my business back up and running. Now we're in these months where I've kind of like semi surrendered, but not really because I was like, actually, like this sucks. And this is when God started to turn my life around because at this point I had forgot like I had given my life to Jesus. Like, and believing in God and like giving your life to Christ are two different things. And I have learned this, and you do need both of them. You do in fact need both of them. They are required to live the fullness of life that you desire to live. You will never live if you do not give your life to Christ, if you do not believe in God. You can believe in God, but you will always have what I call God will always humble you. We won't get into that in a later episode because that's really not what we're here to talk about today. But, anyways, moving on, just keep that in the back of your mind. Also, go subscribe to my Substack. I'll have it linked in the description because I actually wrote a whole Substack on this a few weeks back. So, subscribe to my Substack, read more on why you need to also have a relationship or believe in Jesus and believe in God because believing in God ain't enough, baby. It ain't enough. Anyways, so God's taken everything away from me. I'm broke. I have nothing besides the few little personal effects that like I'm going on this travel journey and that I've decided to keep. And I'm like, okay, everything's gonna be fine. So like I'm still having faith in God that, at this point I'm kind of realizing God has taken everything away from me, is taking everything away from me actively. But like everything is gonna be okay, baby. Like I'm really gaslighting myself because if I wasn't, I probably would have been in a mental hospital. Probably not that severe, but who knows? I likely would have gone down a really, really bad path if I wasn't like constantly gaslighting myself that everything is fine. Everything will be fine. God's got my back. God's looking out for me. Was that really happening at the time? I didn't really feel like that. But again, gaslighting myself severely. So anywho, finally I'm on this like travel journey and I'm still trying to pursue business, but finally at one point, I don't even really know when it was, I was like, actually, screw having a business. Screw this business that I feel like God told me to kind of pursue. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I'm doing right now anymore. As soon as I let that go, God bless me. And so I let that business go. I let being an entrepreneur go. And then God blessed me with a job. And at this time, I was traveling, so I like needed a remote job, and it was literally like the most perfect job. I still have this job. But it was literally like the most perfect job and it had everything I wanted, in a job, all the things. So of course, I'm like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. Now, mind you, I had been in the space of I was having faith that God was really gonna just hopefully do something for me. Hopefully do something. Like I was having faith that God, like there was a point in all of everything being taken away from me, my life basically just going to bits, getting crumbled and crushed, and me having to leave the city I left in. I had no friends, like just a whole lot of things, baby. But God blesses me with this job, and I'm like so grateful. And I know it was God. Like I knew in that moment, like I did not get this job on my own. I did not, by any of my own accolades, like get this job. It was so random for me to even like apply, whatever, yada yada. I got the job nearly as soon as I had applied. So of course, I again gave God my praise, gave God my worship, but then I got back to living, baby. I got back to living, okay? I got back to living. Now, this is also like where I want to say, like, God will never stop pursuing us. And we're going to get to that in just a second here, but like, truly, I just love God so much because one would think that after I did what I'm about to say, if this was a human, if this was a human relationship, they would be like, baby, I'm never, absolutely not. I'm never dealing with you again. I'm never dealing with you again. Not after that. Not after that. Like, you are absolutely wrong. So, anyways, God blesses me with this job, and I get right back to living. I say thank you, and I get right back to living. I literally forget about God because, to be completely honest, I was so upset. I was so mad with God. I truly felt like God owed me because you literally just took everything away from me. You told me to quit my job and took everything away from me. And like my whole life literally just like fell apart. And you had me out here struggling hard. Like I've never struggled that much in my life. And I'm just like, yeah, anyways, thanks for the job. Bye. Y'all, I know some of y'all have did that. Put it in the just like put a smiley face in the comments if you did that. You don't have to tell me what you did, girl. But if you want to, if you want to put in the comments. But I know y'all have did that because I can even look back, on other moments in my life where God has blessed me and I'm like, thanks, bye. Thank you. See you later. But again, God will never stop pursuing us. And I just truly love God for that because, again, if this was a human relationship, do you think somebody's coming back after they like give you a massive blessing and then you just dip on them? No, or I hope not. I hope not, anyways. So that's what I did. Like I said, put a smiley face in the comments if you can relate to that, if you've ever done that with God, because I know I can't be the only one. And even if I am, if I'm the only one, it's because I'm here to tell y'all, this story. So cool. I'm out here living good, baby, by all the worldly standards. I'm living good. Okay? I was living good. And then one day, I found myself back in all of the mess that I had been in before. And I say mess because prior to me like giving my life to Christ, and like prior to me having this like faith after God started taking stuff away from me, I was like really healing deeper cycles in my life. And then one day I find myself back in all of this brokenheartedness that I thought I had like truly healed from. Literally, I thought I had healed from, you know, all the betrayal and like brokenheartedness and like just the ick of hurt and shame that like I had felt in years past. And um I had came back to Austin. That's where I had left. That's what God took away from me. But I had came back to Austin and I found myself in the same place that when I left, when God made me leave, I really wasn't in that place. I was so close to God because I had to be, because I didn't have anything else. But now I had some stuff. I had some things. Mentally, I thought I had what I needed. But anyways, so I had found myself back in brokenheartedness. I had betrayed myself. I had went back to a really toxic relationship that I said I would never return to. And not only that, like a relationship that got like literally kept trying to like release me from. And I had found myself back there again. Now I'm in broken. Now I'm brokenhearted. Now I've betrayed myself. And like now I'm dealing with all of these feelings of shame and regret that like I had not felt in months, in months. And then on top of that, I remember just this was in November of 2024. And I just remember like this was a moment I can say I returned to God. Like I gave up on God. After he started taking stuff away from me, I'm like, I know you're gonna do something. But then he blessed me with that job and I was like, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough. But after I found myself back in the same place that I thought I had truly healed from, in the same situation that for years I had been dealing with, I was like, wow, like this is really sad. And in this moment, I was just like, you know what? The only thing I want in my life at this point is like, I just want to be happy, like happy for real. This is where I say, like, God will always pursue you, God will never stop pursuing you, and God will move for you regardless of how you have been acting. If you come home to God, like, it just really just oh, I just want everybody to like receive God, receive Christ like in their life, because truly it is the most like wonderful, warming, just like it's so good. But anyways, like I didn't even ask God, like, God, I want to be happy. This is literally just me like, dang, I really just want to be happy. Like all this BS that I've been dealing with, like one, it's my fault. Like I just want to be happy. And God moves quick, y'all. God moves quick. Like when people say like God knows your heart, I think that's what that means, because like in that moment, it wasn't like I was sitting down having a conversation with God. I wasn't praying. But I know in that moment God heard me, because God started moving and shifting my life, and like things that I did not ask for just kind of started happening. And so God moves quickly. And so at this time I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna return back to having, some connection with God. But also at the same time, like I said, I was still a little butthurt. So I was scared, y'all. Mind you, I've previously had like, anxious attachment style, avoidant attachment style, all the trust issues, all the things. And so I was really like, I treated God the way I treated all my other relationships, to be honest. I was very hesitant to like trust. I was very scared, and I would be inconsistent with like talking with God, reading the Bible, praying. And like if God really went quiet, like baby, I was throwing a tantrum. I'm a whole 3-year-old sometimes, okay? I was throwing a tantrum like, where you at? But again, like this also fueled this like distrust, this deeper distrust that I had in God. And maybe not fueled, but it started to really bring to light like this deeper distrust that I had in God. But again, God does not stop pursuing you. And God did not let up with me. And this is the part of my story where like things started to turn around. Um, Even though I was inconsistent with God, even though I was imperfect, even though I had trust issues, God did not let up on me. I literally gave up on God. I literally was like, thank you for my blessing. Bye. I'm out of here. And God was still there whole time, still there. But also like the moment I decided that, I really want to be happy, I really want to change in my life, God was like, all right, bet, got you. You don't even know it. You don't even know it, but I got you anyways. If you think that sometimes good things are just happening in your life because best believe God's got you. That's not by any of your doing. That's not by any of your good graces because you don't deserve that. You know it. But God is literally pursuing you, and all of those things that you think are like random happenstances that are good for you, that oh my gosh, I really got this job or this sale or you know, randomly this great thing happened to me. That is God. That is literally God pursuing you so that you can then pursue him. But that's another conversation. We're really going to finish my story here. We're not going to get off track today. God pressed in on my life and literally gave me an idea for a new business, the Very Good Paper Company. I've got it linked in the description, so go check it out. Gave me a new idea for a new business, y'all. At this time, I was like, I'm not gonna ever have a business again for a very long time. Like, I'm not doing that. Mind you, the last time I had pursued entrepreneurship, which was like a year before the, all of that, girl, everything went bad. Everything went real bad. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing that again. We're not doing that again. So, anyways, God had other plans, blessed me with this new business idea. And not just an idea, but like overnight, this business came to life. And I had never had that happen when I tried to like build a business before. God fixed my finances, put me in a new apartment. This is a beautiful, amazing apartment I live in now. Furnished the new apartment, gave me safe friendships, community, and like truly a budding new business. Like, please, like, go check out the Very Good Paper Company. Like I said, it's linked in the description. But amazing, we're doing great things. Uh, we're gonna have some new launches very soon, so definitely go check us out, follow us on Instagram and all of that. And while God is doing all of this, pursuing me, consistently blessing after blessing after blessing, just showing me like his goodness in my life, um while I always expressed my thanks, I just truly didn't trust God. I was like, like, this is nice, um this is cool. Thank you. You're so good to me. But at the same time, like, I did not trust God. Instead of fully stepping into like a trusting, secure relationship with God, I had never had a secure relationship with anybody. First of all, it's really difficult to have a secure relationship with God if you have never had a secure relationship. I could say like I had a secure relationship with myself, but looking back, that really wasn't fully the case. But I tried to have a secure relationship, but again, like, I'd never experienced a secure relationship. I never even saw a secure relationship in my real life. And so how I'm supposed to have a secure relationship? How am I supposed to trust in a relationship? I've literally never experienced these things, never had these things. And so for me, it was definitely one, this was very subconscious as well. And so you may be doing the same thing. But it was just something that I was like, whatever, whatever. Like, and You've been inconsistent with me, God. You've left me. You've abandoned me. God literally does not abandon us, but neither here nor there for right now. But like me and my head thing, like you've abandoned me, like you've been quiet on me. You let all these bad things happen to me, these things that like were like you could have stopped. You could have stopped this. Like, bruh, I was really praying and you could have stopped this and you didn't. That's crazy. That's really crazy. And so instead of fully stepping in, into a relationship with God, I tiptoed around like fully trusting God, bouncing in and out when things were like too unpredictable. And the tipping point for me of like just tiptoeing around this like being in full submission, in full relationship with God, was the moment I allowed myself, and not even allow myself, but allowed my mind to trick me into going back to that old toxic relationship that would have led to destruction all over again. That previously, so now we're in like spring of 2025, but like previously back in the fall of 2024 led me back to brokenheartedness, which ultimately led me back to like to God. But literally like let my mind trick me into like seeing that person again. And just as this is how like I know God has my back. I know God don't play about his girl. God don't play about his girl, because just as soon as that like reconnection started with that person in that relationship, it ended. And it was really in that moment of really deep shame and betrayal and loneliness and just brokenheartedness that I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to try having a real relationship with God for real this time. Because truly, baby, I ain't got nothing else to lose. I ain't got nothing else to lose. We're already lonely. We're already broken. We've already betrayed ourselves. We're already ashamed of what we've done, which was nearly next to nothing besides talk to some like this person. But yeah, yeah, I don't have anything to lose. I don't have any dignity, barely. And I'm laughing because like it is funny. Like when this was happening, y'all, I was really down in the dumps for like 3 weeks. But anyways, I was like, I'm gonna try having a real relationship with God this time, like for real, for real. And thank God, thank the Lord, thank the Lord. Again, thank the Lord for his pursuit of my heart. Because baby, if God was like, you know what? She really took that blessing and was out. We was about to do more, but she was really out. You know what? We're never going back. Imagine that's how God treated us. That would be crazy. I literally started to give my whole life to God, my whole heart. And this is where God started to change my life. This started back in May of this year. And I had tried everything else, like I said, and still, in that moment of spring, just this year, April 2025, here I am still picking up my own pieces and trying to put them back together. And so I was like, screw it. I'm jumping in with both feet. And I did that and I never looked back. And when I say I tried everything else, I mean, if you used to watch my content, I used to talk about manifestation. And so I used to very much be into like new age spirituality, manifestation, all of those things, but not just that, with therapy, all the healing modalities. Again, subscribe to my Substack. I have another newsletter where I talked about that as well. I'll link the newsletter in that specific one in the description. But I had tried everything else. And like, here I am still trying to pick up my broken pieces. This is crazy, bruh. This is crazy. I remember literally sitting on this couch thinking, this is crazy. And so I jumped in with both feet. And when I jumped in with both feet, I went from feeling alone to truly feeling seen and heard and understood by literally the Father of all fathers. When I tell you, I have spent my life wanting, begging, searching for someone to see me, hear me, understand me. Like, I have spent my life, I have spent my life wanting to be understood, wanting to be, wanting to feel accepted, wanting to feel seen, feel heard. And the whole time, like, God was like, baby, I'm here. Baby, I'm here. Okay, we're back. um, that really does make me emotional though, because like I said, I spent my whole life wanting to feel seen, heard, understood, and like I step in with both feet, and instantly, like it was nearly instantly where God was like, baby, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, period. You ain't ever got to worry about that. But I went from not trusting God and just tiptoeing around the things I wanted and to having like a secure and a trusting relationship and asking for the things that I wanted and like getting them and then getting like more than that. And so I had spent my life just tiptoeing around like, oh, I kind of want this, I kind of want that, but being too afraid to ask or thinking it was too much and be like, God, this is what I want. And God literally doing that, blessing me with then like more and like what I wanted and more. I went from feeling like I always had to prove myself, feeling like I was never enough, to knowing like who I am and that I am valued as I am. I left behind a lifetime, y'all, a lifetime. I left behind a lifetime of feeling abandoned to knowing exactly who I am and receiving the love I had so desperately been searching for my entire life. My entire life. And not just my entire life, but like I feel like I had searched the world. I had went far and wide searching for a deep, trusting like love and to be a part of something and belonging. That's really what it was, searching for belonging. Um and yet feeling abandoned to completely surrendering to God and never feeling like that ever again. Um I now like feel like I don't just know Jesus, like I don't know of Jesus. When I gave my life to Christ back in 2023, I feel even in the months of me reading the Bible, learning who Jesus was, being in community, being um in church and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I knew who Jesus was. Yeah, I started to believe in him. But like now I know. Like I know Jesus personally, baby. We be chit-chatting. Okay? We be talking. I know God. We be talking. God be talking back. I be listening. In literally just 3 months, like God reshaped me. And I say in 3 months because this really all started happening back in April, May, and so it's July now. But God reshaped me, rebuilt me, rebirthed me into the woman that like he has called me to be. And I've spent my life feeling like, oh, I don't know who I and like I don't know who I am, trying to figure out who I am, trying to create an identity of who I think I am or who I want to be. And now surrendering entirely to God to and like nearly instantly becoming a very secure woman, a confident woman, a powerful woman, a faith filled woman. And the version of me that I constantly tried to create before I fully surrendered my life to Christ, I would have never been able to create her. Sure, I had created versions that were lesser than, but I could have never stepped into this identity had I not given my whole life to God, my whole heart to God. Had I not circled back, baby, came around the block and was like, actually, you know what? We're gonna try this one more time. I say all that and I share my story and I share my testimony to say two things. God is a relationship. God is a relationship. God is a relationship. And a relationship in all of the ways that you think a relationship would should be. This is me and God. When you think about the person that you want to be married to, that needs to be you and God. When you think about the person that you want to be your boyfriend or you want to be your girlfriend or you want to be your husband or you want to be your wife, you have to conduct yourself that same way in relationship with God, literally. And hopefully, you don't have just these superficial qualities of the partner, the person that you want to, the physical person you want in your life. If you do, I don't really have any advice for that right now, but do something else, baby. The more I have built a relationship with God, where like, if we're in a relationship, we have to talk every day. I have to say good morning to you. I have to say good night to you. I have to tell you about my day. I have to tell you all my problems. I have to be vulnerable with you. Else this ain't gonna work, baby. This ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work. And like, the moment I started building a relationship with God, the moment I decided I was going to try having a real relationship with God, is when everything shifted and God really started to show me who He is. When I gave my life to Christ back in 2023, all these expectations I had, mainly because of the way I was taught, but a lot of also like just my own adult expectations at that point. But all the expectations I had, God is willing to meet your expectation. Not even meet. God will exceed your expectations. But you have to give something too. And that is an unfortunate thing for, I think, me, that I had grew up as a Christian and being very aware of all of these things of God and Jesus and giving your life to Christ and all these things, but like, no one was actually doing the requirement of God and surrendering their full life. Because when I tell you I surrender my full life, and now I don't know what's going on, baby, I don't know what's going on. God got the wheel, honey. I am truly a passenger princess. I don't know where we're going. I am happy to get there. I'm happy to ride along. And if you need me to get out the car and do something, baby, I will do it with a smile, because I'm not driving. I don't hold the responsibility of knowing the GPS, knowing where we're going and getting us there safely. That's God's job. Now, baby, I'm a passenger princess, okay? Um but if you are in a space where you're like, I don't understand why God is not hearing me or doing this with me or doing, or like, this is not happening, because you don't have a relationship with God. And God looking at you like, baby, I'm still pursuing you. I want to do all these things for you, but like, you don't have a relationship with me. And I know when I look at my own story, when I reflect on my own story, I, of course, didn't know how to have a relationship. And even when I surrendered just this spring, my entire life to God, my entire heart to God, and I was like, I'm going to try to have a real relationship. We really going to try this out for real. I didn't know what that looked like. But also, again, I had tried everything else. So it really didn't matter that I didn't know what that looked like. I was just like, we're going to do this. It was kind of just words, but also like it was in my heart. And then God started to align things, because my heart was aligned. But God started to align things so that I could learn how to be in relationship. But yeah, you have to have a relationship with God. I feel like I'm repeating myself with that, because it is so extremely important that whatever it is you're desiring, God is desiring to give it to you. God is desiring it for you, but you can't have it, one, unless you go out and start manipulating the world, but another story. But you can't have it in a righteous way, in a rightful way, in a way that you're going to be proud of, if you don't have a relationship with God. Period. And had I not chosen to try God one more time, like, I would have remained on the outskirts. And honestly, I probably would have never returned. Like, truly just trapped in a life of like disappointment, loneliness, brokenheartedness. The secret to receiving all that God has for you, all that you desire from God, is a relationship. Like, truly locking in and becoming vulnerable, trusting God with all of you, because God wants all of you. God wants all of your weakness. God wants all of your pain, all of your agony, all of your frustration, all of your anger, all of your sorrow, all of your sadness. Like, there have been things that I've had to really release to God, it kind of hurt to release because it had been mine for so long. Like, I felt like I was keeping it safe and I was doing, I don't know, someone a service of not releasing that. And the moment I released it, like all to God, the anger, the frustration, like all those things, baby, life got lighter. Life got lighter, okay? Life got lighter, life got greater, life got better. And like I said, I don't know where we going. God is driving. I'm a passenger princess just enjoying the ride, okay? I also share this story because I also share my testimony because I hope that it can light someone else's way who feels like God is not listening to them. They gave their life to Christ, um, and then everything started going bad. Um, that was really all part of God's plan. That was part of God's plan, but I gave up in the middle of the plan. But that's okay because I did circle back. But today I do find myself living in a truly perfect place, in a place that, like, when I gave my life to Christ back in 2023, one I couldn't even have imagined, but I think it's what I wanted. Like, I wanted to feel safe, I wanted to feel secure, I wanted to feel confident, I wanted to feel trusting, not in myself, but in God. Not in myself, in God. Because at the time, like, I kind of felt those things in myself, but like I said, there was something deeper that I was like, something's not, something's missing. So I just truly tell my story with immense gratitude because, like, despite me nearly giving up on God, like, God never gave up on me. Literally, God will continue to pursue you. Now you can choose to live completely outside of God's will, but even then, God has shown me, like, He will never stop pursuing you. 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 Now my hopelessness, like the hopelessness and that I used to have in my life, has been completely replaced with faith. The brokenness with wholeness. Um Life is great. Like, I feel like that's just so cheesy and so, like, surface level to say, but like when I say life is great. And I just glory to God, like all thanks to God, because I would not be here in complete faith, in complete wholeness, and knowing exactly who I am, feeling secure in my identity. Like I said before, like, I spent my life trying to figure out who I am, my identity, when whole time God wanted to give me, wanted to remind me who I am, but I'm out here looking for it. I'm out here trying to workshop it. And God is like, it's already been workshopped. If you would just come and be in relationship with me. God wants to reshape you, rebuild you, and, like, literally fulfill your heart's desires, but that cannot happen without a secure relationship. And I know I didn't get into the details of how to have a secure relationship with God or how to discover your identity in God, but I hope that you will subscribe to the channel because we'll be talking a lot about that, upcoming. I will share because that is what God has put on my heart. I know on this channel before, and some of my Girl Talk episodes, we talk about being your authentic self and being confident in who you are. And so that theme of identity has been my entire life, and God has not taken that away from me and been like, oh well, now you need to talk about something else. But God has shown me how, and giving me the blueprint on how to teach others to be and become their God-given identity, and be and live in their God-given identity. And I'm so, like, happy and grateful to share that with y'all, and as we continue this new journey of content creation. um but literally, if you're not already subscribed, now is a good time to do so, because like I said, if you're sitting here like, well, how do I have a relationship with God? How do I have a secure relationship with God? How do I walk in my God-given identity? How do I get all the desires that I want? How do I do that, girl? Because you talking a good game right now. But like you ain't giving us no instructions. Make sure you're subscribed. This is a good time to do that because we will be talking about that. Don't you worry. Every week, I'm going to continue to provide y'all with tools and resources and encouragement and community so that you too can walk confidently in your God given identity, confidently in relationship with God. If you have questions, if you want to share your testimony with me, if my testimony touched you, definitely leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Like I said before, God wants to reshape you, rebuild you, and fulfill all of your heart's desires. But that literally cannot happen without a secure relationship. That literally cannot happen if you tiptoe around trusting God, if you tiptoe around being vulnerable with God, if you tiptoe around giving all of your heart to God, literally. If you watch this whole video, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you, girl. Or man. I don't know. I don't know who's watching me, but like, comment, and subscribe and share this video with one person who needs it today. Remember, grace is still available. God is never going to stop pursuing you. Period. Grace is still available. Growth is still happening. And if he'll do it for me, he will do it for you, baby. If he'll do it for me, he will do it for you. Y'all know I was out there just living my life, having a good old jolly time. But then I had to circle the block. So, anyways, if he'll do it for me, he will do it for you. But, anyways, I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.